I had no experience doing anything. I just took that leap of faith and jumped on it. And it was right time, right place. Being the middle person between influencers and brands, I saw how the media landscape was changing. I felt so lucky to be a part of it. And at the end of it, I think my mind just knew this is going to change the world. I had at that point seen every beauty brand in the world. Like they had gifted me things. I had worked with them. I'd been the face of Kerastase, been the face of Maybelline, worked with Clinique as their face as well. So I had done so much within beauty that I knew what was there and what wasn't. I really leaned into academics and then becoming the girl who would be known for that while still craving beauty deep down. When our vitamin C serum, when we launched it in India, due to the heat, humidity and storage facilities, it just immediately, became a different color. We got that initial love, which was very excited customers, turned into extreme hate. A woman cannot be a CEO, or a woman doesn't understand financial literacy, or it's a man's job to take care of the finances. You have this one life that you gotta make it count.
Have you ever stopped and wondered what freedom really means? We're often taught to measure it by what we have, our job, our milestones, the money we earn. But what if freedom isn't there to be earned? What if it's something you discover within yourself? Welcome to Finding Freedom. Through real stories, honest conversations, and courageous journeys, we meet women who have looked within, who have broken the expectations, and hopefully inspire you to find your version of freedom. Because freedom is different for everyone. It's personal, it's yours, and it only matters if it feels right for you. Today on Finding Freedom, we meet Diipa Büller-Khosla, a woman who has carved a niche for herself, a thinker, a creator, and someone who refuses to be boxed in by expectations. She isn't just building a business, she's living a life that reflects a woman that she truly wants to be. Courageous, authentic, and unapologetic. Her story reminds us that freedom isn't given, it's claimed from within every single day. Hi Diipa, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing with us your journey, because we usually see you on magazine covers and at global events and on screen, but today you're letting us into your inner world. So thank you so much for that, because Finding Freedom is all about your inner journey. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think I wanted to just start off with what exactly freedom means to you.
I mean, I think it's such an important and heavy question, and I'm sure everyone can answer it in their own way. But for me, I think freedom has always been a feeling that as a child I would chase, and right now I have. So I think it's just something that, you can give it many adjectives, but at the bottom of it, it's just this feeling of feeling joy, content, safety, and just knowing who you are.
Absolutely. But, for so many, I feel, Diipa, freedom is financial freedom, or it's about your time, and it's very specific things that, freedom is all about. But you grew up in many different worlds, growing up across cultures. Did your definition of freedom sort of evolve when you were 18 versus now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Like you said, the first phase of my life was very much a normal, I would say, Indian girl growing up basically from Delhi to Chennai to Pondicherry to Ooty. So I've done my rounds around the country. And I think back then, being in a very traditional Punjabi family, I think there was very clearly the difference between, say, the way my parents and society treated my brother versus me. I think those are my earliest memories of where I realized there was something different, why could he come back home whenever he wanted to, but I had a curfew, or why was he allowed to say things a certain way, but I was meant to be quiet, or even at school, why were the boys picked on for certain things, but not the girls? So I think very early on, those came in. And even though I, as a girl, was always a bit against the norm, so I always had this I guess, fire
rebellious?
inside. Yeah, rebellious and fire
Yeah.
inside me that would question these things.
Yeah.
So it was just there.
Yeah.
And then I think as I grew up and went to the Netherlands, and I saw, and the Netherlands is the extreme opposite. That I saw, hey, there's a different way of doing things too. You know, there's this like equality here that is so deeply embedded in their culture. And I think it really opened my eyes to how it can be done as well.
So let's talk about the real Diipa behind the glossy magazine covers and the well-curated Instagram feed, and, you know, building this business as an entrepreneur. Who really is Diipa at your core?
Ooh, who really is Diipa? I think I'd go back to that little girl with big eyes and big ambitions and big hands wanting to kind of seize the day, and being found in a world where that wasn't so easy. But, you know, she wouldn't give up for anything. So I think deep down, it was just that girl who wanted to make sure you have this one life, that you got to make it count.
And you've spoken about being bullied as well as a child.
Yes.
When it came to your appearance. Did that affect your association with beauty? Did that affect your self-esteem growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, beauty to me as a child, what I saw was in magazines or on TV or even in high school, that the girls who were quote unquote beautiful seemed to have life a little bit easier than the ones who were not. So like I mentioned before, I was extremely skinny. I was made fun of for being flat-chested as a little girl, having acne all over my face, jagged teeth. And so I think growing up, you know, at that point, because beauty wasn't something I could lean on, or like the societal definition of beauty, I leaned into intelligence a lot, and that became kind of my superpower, where I really leaned into academics and then becoming the girl who would be known for that, while still craving beauty deep down. There was this feeling of, oh my God, it looks like these women have more freedom.
Yeah.
It looks like they know what they want from life more. So I think I like naturally had the intelligence part, and the beauty was something over time, with confidence, it came, you know, that I cultivated little by little.
So at 18, Diipa, you took the plunge, unlike many people, and you decided to venture going abroad to study law. What did that feel like for you in terms of being a part of two very different cultures? Was that a culture shock? And what kind of freedom did it give you?
So absolutely a culture shock. I think before that, you know, I did study in international school, luckily. So there was exposure. Hebron International, So there was exposure to different cultures. But I think what it was even within Hebron, it was a very strict British boarding school, where, you know, you had rules like the skirt had to be below the knees and arm length distance from boys and things like that. So Amsterdam, as you can imagine, was the complete opposite. So it was a huge culture shock. Like, even I remember in our introduction week, I did things that I didn't even understand, but it was such a norm for these students. Like, you know, there were parties and kind of words they were using that in my upbringing I had never heard. So I was very protected. And so it was a huge culture shock. But I think what it really taught me, and what I think Amsterdam is known for around the world, is how open-minded they are, and how accepting they are of different forms of life and different like walks of life and the way people are. I mean, it was one of the first, you know, countries in the world for where gay rights were allowed. And so they're very, I think, open-minded, which my upbringing until that time was the opposite. So I think Amsterdam, in its culture shock, taught me so much about how to accept and see the world in a different way.
Absolutely. And I think that really sort of gives you a new lease of life. And in many ways, Diipa, your journey has not been traditional at all. I mean, you started off with law, went into beauty and the influencer business, and now as a founder. Do you think that having that sort of freedom to be able to do what you wanted, having the backing of financial freedom, all of that also enabled you to make these choices?
London was the next step, where my family was like, you're not going there alone, you know, and that was the first time I would completely live alone, have to figure out my own house, rent, bank account, like everything, like no parental advice. So I think that was another moment where I really wanted it because I had this, like I said, that little girl with the deep craving for independence. And it was one of the hardest, but one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, I think you grew a lot and you learned so much from it. And then going on to actually become an entrepreneur. And I believe that your parents, in a way, inculcated that in you, that you're going to go on to do something. I know they said family business, but that's not the path that you took.
Yeah.
So what, was it always a choice that you knew you wanted to take, or did it come along the way?
When a path was, say, fixed for me in life by my parents or by society, for me it was always like, no, I'm going to try something else, and I believe I can make it, and I'm going to show you every step of the way. And of course I failed immensely, but I never saw it as failure. Like, it was for me learning.
The next stepping stone.
Exactly.
So did you have to unlearn a lot in life, and how did you go about doing that?
I think what I had to unlearn are more those deep-rooted, I guess, limiting beliefs or fears that are put into women as a whole, you know? So more than having to unlearn education or a skill, I think I had to unlearn those limiting beliefs that a woman cannot be a CEO, or a woman doesn't understand financial literacy, or it's a man's job to take care of the finances, or it's a man's job to be the head of the family. Like, those were things I think as a young girl I was, you know, really surrounded by, and those were things as a teenager and as a young adult I had to kind of let go of.
So when you went into the world of, you know, being a fashion influencer, that was an untapped space, and at the time it wasn't very explored, or it wasn't a sexy business. What made you explore such an unknown avenue?
I think I was very lucky to be at the kind of core place where I was, because when I finished my internship at ICC, the International Criminal Court in The Hague, I had about a 6-month break before I was going to move to London for my master's. And in that phase, my brother ended up knowing somebody who was the founder of one of the first influencer agencies in Europe.
And I think that changed your life.
That internship indeed changed my life, because as like being the middle person between influencers and brands, I saw the entire spectrum. Like, I saw how brands viewed them. I saw how the media landscape was changing. And this is early 2012, 2013. So really early days. And in India, I think people had no idea what was happening. US and UK were kind of leading the whole influencer game. And I felt so lucky to be a part of it. And at the end of it, I think my mind just knew this is going to change the world way we consume media. Like, I need to jump on this. And even though I had no experience doing anything, I just took that leap of faith and jumped on it. And it was right time, right place, right amount of work ethic that I think got me to where I am today.
Absolutely. And we'll talk so much more about fear and taking that leap as we go on. Ayurvedic mother doctor, am I saying it correctly, that she was in that field? When did you realize that that would become not just something in the family, but your own conviction?
Mom actually first studied dermatology. She has an MBBS student with a dermatology major, and then many years later, after working as a doctor, she moved on to study Ayurveda. And I think it was her own pursuit of, you know, can there be a more complementary way to take care of health instead of just modern medicine? I had this very crazy bout of acne for about 2 decades. And ultimately,
2 decades?
2 decades, like, it was well into my early 20s. And finally, that's when I think my love for Ayurveda came back, is when I finally solved it and solved it to the root cause of it, that it never came back, was that combination of Mom's dermatology combined with lifestyle changes and ingredients from Ayurveda, you know? So I think when it clicked for me in my early 20s, and then I said, I need to share this with others. And it's such a simple thing. Like, I'm not recreating the wheel here, but it's really about taking what is there from our culture, tried and tested, and things that work, let science back it, you know? Like, that was the only very simple kind of option here. And I think what happened when Inde Wild started is I had at that point seen every beauty brand in the world. Like they had gifted me things. I'd worked with them. I'd been the face of Kerastase, been the face of Maybelline, worked with Clinique as their face as well. So I had done so much within beauty that I knew what was there and what wasn't. And Inde Wild became that quest to make everything that wasn't there in beauty, but that the consumers were looking for. And I mean, the fact that I'd built this amazing community, I could speak to them. You know, so it wasn't ever about, this is what Diipa thinks the world of beauty should be. It was really about, what are you guys missing? What are you guys lacking? What are values that are important to you? And brick by brick, with every conversation, we built Inde Wild.
Yeah, and you filled that gap. And I think Inde Wild is a lot about, you know, sort of your story and journey in a bit of a bottle. And then there was the fundraise, $5 million by Unilever Ventures. Did that sort of boost of, you know, financial strength give you control? Did it give you confidence? What did it do for you when you had that financial might on your side?
I think with any fundraise, like before I fundraised, I didn't, like for me, I thought of making a business in a very slow, sustainable way, because I didn't know any better. Like this is the first proper business of my life. And I think what happened with Unilever coming on board is it gives you this indeed confidence in like, okay, we have product market fit now. And if a giant like Unilever believes in what you're about to do, and especially within the markets of India and the US, which is the biggest beauty market in the world and the fastest growing beauty market in the world, if you have proven that it works, now it's time to scale. And I think that scaling is something I have never done before. And so having their vote of confidence, having them sit on the board and kind of, they've seen it all, right? To be able to really learn from the best of the best, while having that money to really scale, I think is what the benefit of that was.
Absolutely. So you got that stamp of approval, but of course along your journey there have been hindrances and challenges. I understand with the serum there was some logistical issues. So how did you deal with those challenges? How did you overcome them?
I think being an entrepreneur is one big challenge every single day. And not to sound pessimistic, but I think if you're a good entrepreneur, you just need to be able to deal with all the time. When our vitamin C serum, indeed, it was an amazing serum, but when we launched it in India, due to the heat, humidity, and storage facilities, it just immediately, you know, became a different color and lost a lot of its power. And so I think we got that initial love, which was very excited customers, turned into extreme hate. And so now it was my job to turn that and be honest to them. And I remember calling every single one of them by phone and apologizing and asking them how did they store it, what did they do, how could we help them, and then very quickly building a better packaging and a better formula so it would survive the Indian climate, you know. And it was a rookie mistake, like I didn't know better.
But it's part of the journey,
It's part of the journey. And like even till today, as much as you think you've built the best product, there will be something that might be wrong. Be honest about it and turn that negativity into a conversation and be like, hey, what can we do better?
Don't hide and shy away.
Definitely do not, because I think more than anything with building in public today, people want to know the real journey and the real story, and they'll forgive you. Like if you are really honest about it, I believe our community is so strong, they'll be like, I forgive you, you know, if you've gone the extra mile to be like, here's something else in return. Here's what I did. I'll try to fix it for next time. I'm human. So,
Speaking of being human, when you're at your lowest, be it personally or be it with work, how do you deal with that? Do you have some strategies to overcome that?
I think family, like what we were talking about earlier. I have, I think, a handful, maybe I can count them on my fingers, my closest friends and family. And to me, they are the ones who can put me back into, like, judge me out of whatever craziness is happening in the world, or no matter how low I am. So I think for me it really would be going back to those simple things of being able to talk to my mom for hours, or having, you know, Rajma Chawal, getting a chumpy on a Sunday. Like those things just fix you right up. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that to a great extent money was your definition or, metric for success? And when did that change?
Absolutely. I think money as well as impact. So I think it'd be two things. And with money specifically, it comes from my family, where growing up, it was always a problem. It was always something where it was seen in a very limiting way. It's like, there's not enough. Does money grow on trees? Those statements where money was something that we really, really had to strive for so that you could have the basics in order in your life. So I think money was something that I really felt like I needed to figure out as a first step to living that free life. And I think when I changed my mindset about money, that's when money flew in a lot easier. And instead of
did you change your mindset?
Instead of seeing money as something that was really difficult to get, really hard to get, something I didn't know anything about because it's people like finance bros sitting in banks that understand it. I think changing my mindset about money is simple. You need to know your worth, your value. You need to start building it step by step, and it's just not all that difficult. And thinking of it as a very normal and simple thing, and just not making it this crazy thing that only a few elite have. I think really changed the game for me. And I was able to then get it a lot more easier as well.
Yeah, I did read, by Naval Ravikant, and he was saying that you need to have a positive connotation as well with wealth and with money. But why do you think so many women sort of shy away from it? Or why do you think women feel that financial independence is so difficult to attain and so difficult to grasp as a concept?
By raising women to not being part of those conversations, or not even talking about investing in front of them, not even talking about what do you do with the money you earn. And so I think women make a lot of mistakes because of it. Like, even if I look at myself, I've never been a crazy spender of money, but I know so many of my friends, because they don't know how to deal with money, they think as soon as they get it, you just have to spend it all, and not have any savings, not have any investments. So I think it's really about the way we've been raised, and I think it's time to change that. So it takes new role models and new women around you and in the women that you follow to change that narrative around money.
And hopefully it is changing.
Yes.
And speaking of change, even being a woman in the workplace has its own set of challenges. We've been talking for eons about breaking the glass ceiling. Did you face any, or as being a founder, or just any specific challenges being a woman in the workplace? Was it dominated by men a lot as an entrepreneur?
I think I was very lucky that the first job I did was work for myself as an influencer. And so I could, in a way, craft my own world a little bit. In 2025, you get a sex, and I don't think they meant it in a mean way, but I think they just imagined if you're on the face of all the campaigns, if you look a certain way, if you've been a fashion girl, how would you know anything about running a business? And I think those are, till today, the challenges that I face. It doesn't bother me though, because I know who I am. No, I think at this stage, at the age of 35, it doesn't bother me because I know who I am. And I think for me, being underestimated is such a superpower, because if people come in thinking a certain way about you, but you change their opinion of you, I think that is so powerful.
Speaking of being open-minded, tell us about how your worlds collide, like in everyday life, Oleg's role in your business, or maybe what your day looks like on a messy Tuesday afternoon, a typical day.
I think that's more to do with how different our personalities are, more than where we come from. But I think Oleg is a lot more focused on sports. He's a lot more focused on the things that he takes from his culture are like healthy eating, sports.
Great influence.
Yeah, great influence. And what I bring is, of course, our craziness, our drama, our amazing food. So it's really, we found a beautiful combination of the two.
What do you do that makes you sort of mentally reset, or just makes you feel like you want to have your me time?
And then, of course, there's days it's absolutely nuts. And in those days, my thing is massages. I love massages. I love, again, just chatting with friends, rebooting, eating good food, like things, just the simple things that help you do that. But it's again, being able to have the freedom to be able to do both is really powerful.
I know you lean into spirituality as well. There's mindfulness, there's meditation, there's manifesting. Tell me more.
When you're running a business and being a mom at the same time, you're basically running a marathon while playing on 3 chessboards at the same time.
Is that it?
It's like, because you're mentally at an insane level of work, and physically you're burning as well. And so meditation really grounds me to be able to do that on the day. Like, there's no other moment in a day.
Is it daily? Do you do it daily?
Yes, daily.
In the morning?
In the morning, yeah. And manifestation, again, I think having that growth mindset from when I was a young girl, I think I was manifesting, but I didn't really know what it was, you know? So I always have visualized. I'm a very visual person.
Do you have vision boards?
Yes.
Do you journal?
Yes. So I think reading The Secret when I was a teenager changed my life. I think that was the first time it gave it a name, and it gave it a path. I was doing it in an ad hoc way, with my visualizations or goal setting. I always did that, but I think that book really altered the way I could do it in a much more efficient way. And then also I think that combined with, I love Stoic philosophy, so it's manifestation with Stoicism together is my blueprint. And Stoicism helps with failures a lot. It helps with how you deal with obstacles and when things are not going your way. And manifestation is the other side of the coin, where it helps with that extreme positive thinking, goal setting, visualization, and not in a toxic positivity way, which is why you need Stoicism that grounds you, and manifestation that makes you dream. So it's like a dual thing that I really believe in and use.
That's very interesting. And in a world that is ever so fast-paced, do you have, was there a point in your life when you felt that you had to be there for everything, or that FOMO factor? How do you say no now? Do you think it's more important to do that? Yeah,
I think saying no was the greatest lesson I learned. And it comes with confidence. It does not come in the early years when, again, I didn't feel confident enough in myself. I felt like I had to be everywhere, do everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't be cool enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't get the brand deal. And I think with time and with confidence, you learn to say no, and then you realize how powerful it's been all along.
When we, go back to the topic of financial freedom and things like that, what exactly, does it mean to you? Is it a lot about control and even confidence that it gives you as a woman? And how do you go about it in your daily life? How involved are you in finances? How involved is Oleg?
So I think, again, between me and Oleg, we don't see each other so much in a male-female dichotomy. It's more, what are your skills, what are my skills, and how can we be the best co-founders and parents and family kind of organizers. So I think naturally, not because he's a man, but naturally Oleg understands investing better, and naturally I know how to make money better. So we have a very defined role within our partnership, where he really understands how to make money from money and where to invest it, because whether it's his childhood, where he was raised, and just his natural, I guess, affinity with those things. And for me, I think naturally I'm really good at knowing how to make money, and where within even Inde Wild,
business.
Exactly, within Inde Wild, I'm more focused on the sales aspect of things, the marketing, how to tell a story, and bringing in the dough. And he's really good at, I guess, multiplying that dough and making sure it's there for the next generation and things. So it's a very good, and indeed, I think having the financial security has given me so much confidence.
If Dua asks you later on in life, Mom, how do I navigate this big world of being, doing my own thing, but enjoying motherhood or having a personal life, what would you want to tell her?
I think, as parents, the main thing you give your kids, if you peel every layer off, at the end of the day, it's a box of tools, right? Toolkit. That then with that toolkit, they need to live their own life. I think parents who believe they give them anything less or more, at the essence of it, it's just you're giving them and teaching them life lessons, a mindset, skills, all of those things that then they can live on. So I hope that Oleg and I can do a very good job at giving Dua experiences, education, skills, and most importantly, I think that growth mindset, where that she can take on life knowing, you know, whatever challenge or obstacle comes, that she is able to overcome it.
So, Deepa, as we're winding it down, what kind of advice would you like to give your 18-year-old self if you could look back in time?
So I wouldn't change anything. I would just tell her to make sure she continues keeping that fire that she had as a little girl alive,
Yeah.
and not let the world dull it down.
And what kind of a legacy do you want to leave, Deepa?
Oh, that's a heavy question. I think I would love to leave a legacy where, you know, firstly, that my parents are proud, that my husband is proud, and my daughter is proud of me and who I've become. And then secondly, for the women out there, like, I would love to be that kind of person they look up to see that she didn't come from much, but she managed to build something of her life and build it in her own terms. And I hope for every woman out there that they can do that for themselves as well.
And I think you're doing a fantastic job of that. There are so many women who look up to you, and you've given us so many interesting tidbits today about how you manage your financial freedom, motherhood, and of course the legacy you want to leave behind. So thank you, Deepa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Deepa's story reminds us that freedom isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about knowing yourself, trusting your choices, and living in a way that feels true to you. It's about courage, bold or quiet. Here's what I'm taking away from today's episode. Your identity is yours alone, so own it fully. Strength comes from embracing fears, not avoiding it. Every decision you make shapes your freedom. Small acts matter. And being unapologetically yourself inspires others to do the same. And finally, true power lies in looking inward and trusting your own voice. As we continue to choose, to grow, to define life on our own terms, we discover and redefine what freedom really means for us. Until next time, choose your own path, trust your own journey, and be true to yourself.